Welcome to Build Karo, the podcast where we stop planning and start building. I'm Dinesh Khanna from Strat School, and this show is for every student founder, aspiring entrepreneur, and builder who's tired of waiting for the perfect moment. Here's the truth: most startup stories that you hear online are polished, PR approved success stories. We're not doing that here. Build Karo features real founders with real stories at the earliest stages of their startups, the most messy, challenging, and unglamorous phase where most people quit. For our first episode, I wanted to start with a story that represents everything that this podcast stands for: purpose, grit, and real impact. My guest today is Prerna Mishra, the founder of Natureship, a food brand bringing traditional stone ground sattu and healthy drinks to modern India while creating sustainable livelihoods for the rural women in Jharkhand. Prerna is a fellow TACME alumni, and she's building something that matters: not just a business, but a movement that empowers communities, revives forgotten food traditions, and proves you don't need a billion-dollar idea to start something meaningful. So let's get started. Welcome, Prerna, to Build Karo. We'll start off with a simple introduction about yourself. So please tell us where you come from and what's your background.
Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you for having me at your podcast, especially at the Women's Day celebration week. Dinesh, I come from a small village in Jharkhand. Went ahead and did my MBA, went out, worked with corporate. I have about 7 years of corporate experience. I also happened to work in food as a category. I
Okay.
initially worked with Future Group,
Oh,
famously known as Big Bazaar. And then
right.
I moved into Swiggy Instamart. I was a senior category manager there. I
Okay.
quit my job and started my own venture, which goes by the name Natureship Foods. And the idea is very simple. What we are doing is we are working with rural women from the communities of Bihar and Jharkhand, and we are trying to bring the most authentic traditional delicacies to the people, but in a way that fits their modern lifestyle. So you can imagine it to be slow nourishment for busy people.
Okay. Okay. That's really great. So that was actually going to be my second question. I was going to ask you about natureship. So anyway, you gave me a quick introduction. So Prerna, why food exactly? Is it because of your previous work experience working with the food brand? Why did you start something in food?
Right, right. This is also probably an answer to why I am doing this. And let me take a couple of minutes to explain what I have been observing. In last few decades, I think the lifestyle of people have changed a lot. We have got so busy, right? And I think never in our lifetime we have so many information, so many work being bombarded on us. We are busier than ever, and so many things in our life has changed. Food is one aspect which has changed dramatically. And why I felt this so strongly, I'll tell you. This was also because from where I come and where I was working at. So I was working in food category, right? And I was interacting with the top brands of the world, Mondelez, Nestle, and all of that. And what I observed that while I was in the city, I was living in Bombay at that point of time, and my lifestyle completely changed. When I was in village, my grandmother used to hand me over a glass of sattu, and for 4 or 5 hours, I was just full. I was eating healthy, nutritious food without even thinking about it. It was just a part of our life. Today, and even when I stayed with at home, things were taken care of. But when I was staying alone and life got busier, food took a direct hit. I was just skipping meals, or maybe I was having some biscuits, or just skipping it, and nutrition took a backseat in my life. And this was not just me. I could see it with my friends, family, customers I was interacting with, and this was happening all around. That's when I could see these two worlds right in front of me: one where I came from, one where I saw these women, village farmers, and they all knew traditional recipes, culinary skill. The bigger problem, they had no livelihood opportunity or no way to make money out of it, commercialize it. While in cities, people had started looking for authentic real food, and there I could see a big gap, that in village these ladies, they know the real authentic culinary skills. They can give you great products, but they have no ways to reach you. And in
Right.
cities, people are looking for them. So why not create a brand that helps you reconnect with yourself? And one way was to help you do it through food. And the question that we constantly kept asking, that how do I make Dinesh, who is super busy, be able to use our product? What do I do that you can tomorrow just go home and make it? And I often say this to my team, and we often joke about it, that we are probably making the slowest food for people with the busiest lifestyle.
No, absolutely right. So I can totally relate with what you're saying. Have become too restless, too impatient these days. They don't even have the time to cook their own food. Their work style and the environment in which they live, that doesn't even give them the little bit of leeway to take care of their own health and food. So working at the intersection of these two, sounds like a very exciting thing, right? Amazing,
Yes.
amazing. So probably people like me, like you rightly said, uh, greatly benefit from what you're doing. Prerna, could you tell us a little bit about how were your early days when you actually came up with this idea of starting something like Nature Ship, and what did you do? What were the initial steps? Who did you go and talk to? How did you validate this whole idea?
Right. I think the first step was getting these women with me. I mean, talking to them, understanding product, talking to farmers, getting more. I mean, I come from a corporate experience where I have an idea about food, where I have idea of more on the front end side. Could be marketing, branding, putting out products in the shelves. That's what I was doing. But now I was understanding how food was being made, how farmers are making it, what is seasonality, what could be the shelf life, how could you make it, if you make it by hand, how much would you be able to scale it. I was trying to understand all this. And the second step was to get these women onboarded with us. And why it was very important, because a lot of things that we do right now is handcrafted. So slowly hand roasting it, stone grinding it, and the grinding happens by hand using what we call chakki. I was back to my village, I was staying there, and for a very long period of time they also found it, a little crazy that somebody wants to come back from city and stay in
Right.
village and work with them. So it took time for them and for us to kind of
Okay.
to synergize and get them on board. That was the first few steps. Then we launched the first set of products, and we quickly wanted to test the waters, that are people willing to pay for it. So with our initial first level, we put it out on Amazon, we put it out on social media to see that without any without any pushing sales, are people going to come organically to us and buy. And interestingly, we started getting orders, and then we spoke to those customers, and they were very excited about. They Many of them told me something about their childhood, nostalgia about how their grandmother used to make it, and that's when we thought that this has a huge potential.
Okay. Okay. And what was the first product that you launched in the market?
It was Sattu. And Sattu became currently Sattu is our flagship product. So we
Awesome.
launched
Awesome.
different varieties. One is chana, Bengal gram. Then we launched barley, which is jaw. We also launched makai, corn, and we had a millet-based sattu, which is kulthi, called horse gram.
Okay. And how do you position the products? Like, do you typically sell them as a replacement for their existing breakfast or existing food, or is it more like an add-on to their existing diet?
See, sattu has been a timeless product. It has been in the world for more than 3,000 years, and the origin. It's also, if I could tell you the recent, like the origin, it would go back to the Magad region, where the warriors and the farmers used to have it. So if I were to tell a kid, I would tell him that, hey, this was a protein drink when the protein powders were not invented, and with no side effect, with no problem. It has been in market and people knew about it. Probably it was not popular, it wasn't famous, it was an overlooked product. And when we started selling it, early adopters were people who kind of knew it already. And then the interesting thing started happening. Over few years, we observed that people who are also consuming protein powder wanted to have sattu in their diet. They became the new set of entrants for us. The third thing was people from different part of the country. people from southern part who probably didn't know of sattu, but they wanted to have something in protein and fiber with in 100% natural plant protein. They also made it a part of their diets. And different people were consuming in different ways. Some were adding it to water and having, some were making, their parathas out of it. They were adding it in oats and having it. So, and then I spoke to one customer who was using makai sattu as a gravy for their sabzi, for their
Okay.
vegetable.
Something that
Yeah,
probably new to you as well, I guess, right?
new
You
to
will
me.
even you would not.
And then I also started doing that after I heard him.
Nice learning back from your customers. That's a really
Yes,
great thing.
yes.
How do you plan the whole supply chain? Because since you're working from the rural areas and that's where the whole process of manufacturing these products happens. So how do you manage supply chain and just tell us a little bit about that?
Right. I think this has been a challenge for us till date because we are very, very happily saying that we add value at source. And the source happens to be uh, a village in Jharkhand. And we don't have a good connectivity there. We don't have a lot of delivery folks delivering products there or picking up from there. So that happens to be a challenge for us, and that has also increased the delivery cost for each unit that we send because we are in a hinterland. And then from that land we are sending to Mumbai or a Bangalore. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge that we are still facing to till date. But we very strongly believe that the value at source that we are doing and the connection that we have because we have the whole setup in village, the upside of being in village is more the authenticity that we are able to give our customers, the real storytelling we are able to do standing at that village in our workshop is far more than if we just copy another brand or probably just shift to maybe a city.
Right, right, right. And what else, are the challenges that you've been facing apart from this supply chain thing? Was there anything else that you had to face? Because you've been working with women. See, even today, we're living in 21st century. Women still face a lot of hurdles when it comes to going and earning a living for themselves, right? So, were there anything that of that sort, or was it like a smooth sailing when it comes to convincing all these women to get on board for Natureship?
Absolutely, it was not smooth in any textbook language definition. It was very, very challenging for us to get them on board. Today, in the village that we work with, from my limited understanding, in that whole district, there is no other I would say a startup or a setup where so many women would get up, get ready, and go and work. And this
Mhm.
whole setup that they have. And I don't think so in any of the nearby village, any women carries a laptop and goes to office and then checks the Amazon and checks the WhatsApp and sees all the order and starts working on it. There is nothing like that.
Right.
And it has not been an easy journey for us when we started. Lot of their family members also told we're not very excited about them stepping out of their house and what they were told that why do you need to go out, why do you have to work, and we are doing it. And in some case when I mean the people around them happened to be the biggest challenge for them to uh, overcome.
Right.
But gradually, when they started contributing to their family and gradually when they started giving back, the dynamic started shifting. And one of the major shift happened when we were featured in Man Ki Baat. And suddenly, yes, and suddenly the same set of women, when they were walking to the office, people would point to them and say that, hey, look, she got featured in Man Ki Baat. And then that lady felt so, happy and proud about what she was. Earlier, she would kind of shrink and go to office. And then suddenly her body language expanded because people would look at her and say, hey, look, she got
Probably they've
featured.
never got such a recognition in their whole life, right?
Never, never. I mean, this is a very big recognition. Their pictures were put up on the local newspaper and they were like a star.
Amazing, amazing. That's where the real empowerment of women starts, right?
Yeah.
You give them the
You
power to
know,
make their own living. Yes, yes.
yes,
Sorry.
Dinesh, one interesting psychological shift that I observed as a founder now that I can see now. I didn't even see when I started this. That someone, a lady who was in her house, who thought of herself as nothing, almost nothing, that I am nobody, I am unseen. Today feels that I am important and I can contribute. I think as a founder, that has been a very, very fulfilling experience for me also to witness that change, not just in one individual, but in so many different women that they feel that they are important. I mean, how do
Amazing,
you,
amazing.
yeah, and this is not something that we started with, but this is a byproduct of what,
Great
and
product.
this is like the best byproduct that has happened in the
No,
whole
totally.
journey.
So, Prerna, when it comes to business, right, how are you guys doing in terms of business? Like, how many units of products, or how many? First of all, how many products do you have in the product line? Could you just tell us something about that?
Sure. So we started with Sattu, then we went ahead and introduced pulses. We also have in a very native variety of rice and flattened rice, which is rice and poha, chura, which is called katarni. It is just grown in a couple of districts in Bihar, Jagdishpur. And we have tried to talk about how great aromatic product it is. So that is something we have in our range. Recently, we have come up with a new product, which is in the form of sachet. And probably as we talk, I can give you a whole idea of why we are launching and what exactly it is.
Yes, yes, please, yes.
Sure, sure. So, while when we launched our first set of products, we kept going back to our customers and we kept asking them that how are you using it, what it is. And the question that we kept asking ourselves and the customers that how can I give you something that you can use it immediately, that you can use it in your life very conveniently. And
Okay,
that's when we came up with a sachet. For us, we are taking hours and hours to make it. But the idea is that when you consume it, it should take seconds for you to
right.
make it or consume. And we have launched a drink mix. So we have taken sattu and we have played with flavors like moringa, ashwagandha, jaggery cinnamon, masala, and we have created small sachet. And all you have to do is just add water. So the same problem remains at the core that you are very busy, but at the same point of time you are looking for something real, original. So how do I
Right.
solve for it?
And also convenient, right? I can just take it along with me. So wherever I go, I can probably carry it
Let
when
me
I
just
travel. Yeah.
yes,
Oh,
let
you
me
have
just
it.
show it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like a small sachet. You can just keep it
Okay.
in your pocket. It will just fit inside your pocket. And
Take
all
it
you
to your
have to
office,
do is yeah,
probably.
yeah. All you have to do is just stir it and add water. And I have so many of my friends who were the early adopters, and all of them working professionals, meetings, deadlines.
Okay. No, probably I have to, order one packet for myself once this podcast is done.
Definitely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you are solving for new age problems as well, right? So the problem of convenience, problem of ease of use, right? Amazing,
Yes.
amazing.
So
Okay,
see, the hypothesis that we have to the hypothesis that we have that hey, fast life doesn't mean that you are only dependent on fast food.
right,
Fast life could also give you Fast life could also come from slow nourishment. While we take, again, I repeat this multiple times because that's the core of it. While we are taking hours and hours to make it, roasting it, getting from the farmers, we are doing everything in the village. It's not going through multiple layers or then reaching you. All of this is made in the village, done after we have an order from you, freshly prepared, packed, and dispatched straight to you.
right.
And you take less than 20 seconds to make it. Just have to add water and stir.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So when you're talking about this whole process of making it in a village and packing it fresh, right? So obviously the next question that a customer could have is how do you guys preserve the shelf life of the product? Like how long does it stay, and do you guys add any extra preservatives or something that will extend the shelf life? So do you get questions like that, or like how do you deal with all this shelf life
We
thing?
have we have had pushback saying that you need to increase the shelf life to place it on shelves. We have had pushback, but the essence is that if we start adding another layer of preservatives to it, then it just becomes any other any other
Right,
commodity, and that's not what the intent was. So to keep the shelf life intact, we what we are doing is we are doing everything in powdered format, which naturally enhances the shelf life. And then we are also adding salt, which is again enhancing shelf life, right? We are Whatever we are doing with the natural ways, the traditional ways of enhancing the shelf life. And this product has a shelf life of 6 months, which is quite long. Yeah. We are
Okay.
also trying to understand what are the natural other ways of maybe keep sucking out all of the air and then packing it. We're trying to understand ways of
Okay.
doing.
No, we've also been working with a lot of the farmer producer organizations called FPOs, where a group of farmers come together, they form a cooperative
Right.
society, and then they do value added products and they try to sell it. So this is one of the common concerns most of them have actually, because when you have a organic product which has a short shelf life, then they start worrying about how to sell it for a bigger audience, how to transport it to a that is far away from where it's being manufactured. So all of this. So that's why I wanted to touch upon that. So the next question is, so you've been manufacturing everything through these traditional methods, right? Like what is a stone ground kind of a thing, right? So when it comes to scaling this whole venture, Nature Ship, right? So how are you going to take it up to the next level when see this whole on ground thing is going to have its own limitations. It's going to depend upon the number of people you can onboard for this initial process of manufacturing, right? So how are you going to take it to the next level and how are you going to solve this problem?
Right. No, of course, we have two ways. There are two directions we are thinking about it. One is looking at the supply side, right? I mean, how do I leverage the network of women and farmers that I have right now? I am not using my full capacity of the women, of the farmer, of the whole infrastructure that.
Question. So how many women are there working with Nature Ship as of now?
So we have trained more than 100 ladies
Okay.
in the hygiene for the SOPs and the processes. But currently we are working with about 50 to 70, depend on how the demand is.
Okay.
Yes. So going back, in just one village, we have been able to train more than 100 ladies, right? With how to do it and they are experts. So when I say train them, we are only putting SOPs and hygiene in the process. How to do it, they are masters. We are just standardizing the process while preserving the soul of the
The
craft.
recipe, yeah, craft.
Yes, yes. We are trying to standardize in a way that when a customer gets it, it's almost similar. Imagine a dal being stone ground. Some grains will be smaller and some grains will be bigger when you stone grind it. And that's the art, that's the luxury, that's the beauty of it. So we want that differentiation also, but still trying to give you the same level of authenticity, the taste, the aroma, on and on, again and again. That's why we have got some SOPs and processes and hygiene checklists and quality checklists on the setup.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
firstly, the now in just one village we have so many ladies. Now imagine the quantum of villages just in Bihar and Jharkhand that could do all of this. And secondly, there is of course a level of automation that the technology and automation that we are thinking of introducing. But how do you introduce that technology and automation without killing the soul, with killing what we have been able to do with something that we are working on? So we are thinking of automating certain parts while letting the core of craft still be very, very human.
Right. Right. So the entire craft and the recipe and the whole process is going to stay the same. Probably, you'll have to expand geographically. Maybe initially in Bihar, then probably you'll expand into other
Yes,
states as
yes.
well. Okay. Okay. Awesome. And so initially you said that you started off with selling it on Amazon and other marketplaces, right? So where do you guys sell these days? Do you guys have any own website where you sell it from? Or do you have any offline availability as well in terms of distribution?
Yes. So currently we are available on Swiggy Instamart. We are
Okay.
available on Big Basket. We also got onboarded at First Club in Bangalore location. So I think we should be live in a few days there.
Oh,
We
okay.
are currently on Amazon, and we take order on WhatsApp also, so we are available on WhatsApp. We have our own website where people visit to understand more about products and place order. So we are available on all these channels. We have also been able to reach out to few retail stores in Delhi. We are available on couple of retail stores, and now we are expanding in Bombay also.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome. That's really great, Prerna. And what are your plans for Natureship in the next couple of years? Like, what do you guys have in the vision?
Right. I think, Dinesh, the question that we keep asking ourselves is, how do I make the other person, that working professional, or whosoever is so busy sitting in a Bombay or a Bangalore, or maybe in a Lucknow or Faridabad, that person's life more easier, and that person's life easier. And how do I do it? And the second layer of that question is, how do I help that person reconnect with themselves? And the answer is, and if you look at the range of products that we have launched, first we launched the regular sattu. Then we kind of went back and asked the customer, how can I help you more? And they said that, make it more easier for me. So I said, okay, now just add water, like the sachet. The third question I'm going to ask is, how do I make it even more easier for you? And it's the core of the problem solving remains the customer. So it's always, how can I make your life easier, and how can I help you reconnect with yourself? Because one of the hypotheses we have is that nobody is eating junk, or nobody is eating unhealthy food on a regular basis because they want to, because they like it.
Right.
Probably there are some blockers. Probably it's not convenient, it's not easy, or they're not getting it. And we want to reduce those
Right.
for our
Yeah.
customers.
No, that was my natural, inclination. I was going to ask something in the similar lines actually, because the people I talk to also on a regular basis, be it my family, be it my friends, right? Nobody chooses to eat junk food. Probably on some exceptional basis, sometimes when they want to eat something not too tasty, or when they want to spoil themselves, right? Like a cheat meal, probably then they might choose. But regularly, people don't want to really, eat something that affects their health, but they do it because that is what's available. If you go on a supermarket, the supermarket's shelves are like filled with junk food, right? So they have no other option left but to pick in one of those, be it the biscuits, be it the chips. You see, in the last few years in India, there's been an explosion of brands which are selling healthy snacks. I don't want to name the brands, but then you might have seen it, right? So do you have any idea of moving into that segment of the industry? Probably have value added products, not just selling it in a raw form, probably into healthy snacking segment.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's, if you see, that's the direction we are going towards. First, we launched the real raw product, and then we added a whole layer of value addition to it to make it easier for you. The third, something which we are currently today working on is something that you tear a packet and you eat it. So,
Right,
which
ready to
is,
eat, kind of.
yeah, which
Yeah,
is even more convenient to you. But again, with the same layer of constraints that we have, we don't want to add any chemicals. We want to
right.
value add at source. We still want to work with these farmers and women. We still want to do the same level of storytelling that, hey, this is made from 100% natural ingredients. So we want to give ourselves these constraints always when we work for our
So
customers.
that's what is going to be the most challenging, I think, right? So when you go for these ready-to-eat snacks, the first thing that comes is when you change the form and change the whole, format in which people eat, then all these constraints are going to come naturally. I would be very interested to see how you guys are going to handle that going forward. Prerna, so let's say someone, be it in city, be it in a village, someone who's very young, who has a lot of dreams, they want to start something. It could be even in food segment or any other segment, right? Like, what will be your word of advice for them? What will be the first step that they have to do?
I think the problem that you are going out to solve, getting a very very deeper understanding and observing your customer's life properly, looking at the problem. And interestingly, what I've seen is that the I just want to give an example here. When we launched the first set of products, we observed a lot of people who in their early 30s buying it for their parents, late 20s buying it for their parents, and saying that, hey, my parent really like your product and I want to keep ordering. Or I saw all of these young folks sending the products to their parents. And then I asked them that, why were you not able to have it? And then she said, oh, I don't have time to make sattu paratha, and I don't have time to, I'm probably, yeah, sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't have it. The answer was, हाँ, कभी कभी हो जाता है,
Right.
So I thought that, how do I reach out to this customer also? Because probably they understand it's good, but it's not fitting in their lifestyle. So we launched
Yes.
this session. And now
Right.
the same customer is ordering both. One thing for their parent and one thing for themselves. And we are
Right.
solving the same problem again. So
Right, right.
again, what essentially I'm trying to say is that understand that customer's problem in real detail. And as founders, we tend to rush a lot. We want to make money quickly. We want to do a lot of things quickly. We want to launch a lot of products. We want to do many things together. Probably slowing down and taking one step and figuring out and then moving is not always a bad idea. Sometimes that may work in your favor because you will understand the product in such, you will understand the problem in such detail and your customer in such detail that that will become your advantage. That will become your X factor.
Amazing, amazing. So I think some people might think that it is counterintuitive, right, to slow down, because most people, give advice like, move fast, do things faster. But what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to the earlier stages of startups, understanding your customer and their problem and their day-to-day life. I think that is the most important thing, right? Without understanding that, there's no point of rushing into the market and,
Right.
doing something that doesn't solve their problem.
True. Because at the end of the day, what are we founders trying to do? We are trying to solve your problem. Probably it's a problem that I also face. So this sachet is something that I use every day in afternoon at 4 p.m. when I around 3 to 4 p.m. when I feel that my energy is going down. And I don't want to have anything heavy also at that point of time. I don't want to eat junk. So this is my drink to go. And I have seen so I am trying to solve my problem also. But at the end of the day, a founder is a problem solver. So obsess on the problem and not so much on the solution. It's
Right.
problem that you need to obsess.
Yeah, well said, well said. And most of the times, you see, majority of the startup founders, they start, doing something because they themselves have experienced something in their life, a problem that they themselves have faced personally, and they try to find some solution for it in the market, and unfortunately, they won't be able to find it, and they start, ending up starting a brand or starting a startup. So
Absolutely.
understanding our own lives also matters a lot, right? Instead of being in the rush, because that's how we started, right? People are always in a rush, and we don't even have the patience to watch a full length video anymore. We are sticking with 30 second, 60 second short form videos. Being always in a rush is not going to be of, good, not going to do much good to your health and your well-being in the long term. So maybe slowing down a
Right.
little bit, understanding our own lives and problems could give a lot
Right.
of idea.
True.
Awesome.
And Dinesh, I've started seeing this happening. I mean, the I have people appreciating slowness, people know understanding that this is probably one of the luxury to have slowly made food, to have
Yes.
slow mornings, and the definition of luxury, I think, this is my judgment, is changing. It's no more those fancy watches and fancy bags. It's probably somebody handcrafting something and giving it to you, somebody taking all their time and making something and handing it over to you, you getting up and not rushing and have some time for yourself. These are the new definition of luxury. That
Absolutely. So that luxury in terms of the control that you have, of your own time, right? Instead of somebody else controlling, how you should spend your whole day. I think that's a really good
yes,
point.
yes. And
Absolutely.
this will
So
reflect in the choices that customers and people make when they buy something. I think inherently everybody is trying to do good in whatever way they can. So whenever I speak to my customer, at the end when they are hanging up the call, they tell me that, hey, I feel happy that with my product, they would of course start with the quality of the product. Obviously, that is like a no brainer
that's a
that,
given. Yes.
yeah, they are obsessed about the quality. But the second thing that adds an emotional touch, which they always tell me, that I feel very happy that these was made by the women, and I saw the Instagram videos of these ladies sharing their lives, and I felt so happy, and they feel happy that they know the faces behind what's happening,
Yes.
that people want to they want to the feeling of belonging, they want to go back, and that's the whole vision that we also have behind Nature.
Awesome, 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 Prerna. Prerna, I'll give you a couple of more minutes. If you have anything to say to our audience, or to your customers, or to your prospects, or anybody that's watching the podcast, you can say.
I think I would again want to take a minute and talk about why we are building Nature. And the why remains the fact that we have been able to, we are observing that, your life is busier and you're traveling and you're rushing. While I come from village and most of you who would have traveled or would have had at any point of time experienced slow life, you would have realized that what luxury your grandparents had in the food that they ate. And it's still there in the villages. These women still hold that knowledge, they still know the culinary wisdom. And we have so many products in our villages that could fit in your life. And that nature shift, the idea is that we are trying to reconnect both the worlds. Your fast life doesn't mean you need to compromise on nourishment. Your fast life doesn't mean that you will lose the touch with authentic, with yourself. Your fast life could still accommodate certain good points, certain good food habits. Again, I would say that, we make the slowest food for the busiest people. And you can try that sachet, our discovery pack, which comes in different flavors, and experience that how in just 20 seconds you can have a ritual in your life that you can do it day after day, again and again, and then feel the difference.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks a lot, Prerna. It was amazing talking to you. And no, all the best for all the great things that you're doing. I would really love to see Nature Ship go to the big heights in the coming future. So nice talking to you once again, Prerna.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. Thank you for having me and letting me share my story. Thank you so much. And
Yes,
all
it's a
the
pleasure.
very best to you.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Prerna. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.